Nope, that's it. I'm leaving.
You aren't going anywhere. We're doing this.
Hey!
Did I hear Yandere Dev? Are we gonna bully Yandere Dev?
Apparently so. Looks like we have to educate Wayata about Yandere Dev. Who knows most about the beginning?
Ooh, me, I do. I know the most, junkie!
Fine. Libby, you go first.
Yandere Simulator is a game that started way back in 2014, a game that focused on the trope of a yandere girl, which is basically a fancy anime way of saying a crazy stalker girl who's obsessed with someone and will straight up yeet the life out of anyone in the way of her senpai. The game is basically a simulator where you play one of these girls, you stalk your senpai, and you stop the incoming rivals by any means necessary. It was made by a dude who calls himself Yandere Dev.
Beautiful! An indie dev working on a game passionately to please his fans he's built up.
The game hasn't been finished yet.
I mean, games take time.
It's been 6 years.
Okay, well, shit takes time and
He uses mostly Unity assets.
What?
And he refused help from an actual game studio because they were fixing the code, only to go back and fix it later.
Tell me more.
He's still on the tutorial level.
Didn't Scott Cawthon release like 7 games in the time this game has been in development? And not to mention he's pouring money into the creators of fan games so they can release said fan games on console stores and bundles?
Wanna know what he spends his Patreon money on?
Yowie?
No!
What a waste.
Let's see. So he has a perfectly working Switch, so he bought another one. Why? In his own words, to have 2 islands because he fucked up his first one so bad in Animal Crossing.
He bought?
Bought another Switch, yes.
Why?
He also bought a sex doll, dressed it up like Samus, and broke it.
Excuse me, what now? So, I mean, that's gotta all together be under $300. So what else could he possibly have bought?
A subreddit.
Huh?
He spent $3,000 to get it. After begging for control of it failed.
$3,000!
For a subreddit, yes.
So, the best way I can describe this game is that it feels like it was made backwards. As Junkie mentioned before, there is a lot of Easter eggs, but there is no actual game, to my knowledge. Or at least a game that can actually function, mostly due to a toothbrush. So the way we were taught to design games in my class was by staying organized. Organization is a major part of it because stuff like games has an aspect of being in layers similar to a drawing. It can also prevent a Jenga situation where if you need to remove something or add something in, the whole project doesn't just fall apart. Write out the main goal of the game, what are you as the main character trying to do, figure out mechanics and what you want to be able to do, draw up some conceptual designs and lay out the framework, make sure the main mechanic works, and then you can start adding all the fluff. But apparently he's decided to just focus on the fluff, some of it being kind of insensitive. Now, as Lucy pointed out, I just took a high school class on game design. I am by no means a professional. However, if there's one thing I do know, with mostly confidence, is basic math. Let's talk financials. We've already talked about some of the stuff that he's bought, but not how much he's actually made. Collectively, that is. Wade and I separately did our own calculations using 2 separate methods to calculate just how much Yandere Dev has made on Patreon in the nearly 6 years it's taken to make this game. He used a graph that's supplied by Patreon and I used the Wayback Machine. This is the general range that we both came up with. This is ridiculous! Keep in mind as well, he's admitted to taking over half of each month for personal reasons that are not disclosed. Also, to the people still funding this, why? There are 2 tiers for $1 and then $100. We literally went from 1 to 100, please don't kill me for this pun. So if we do the math, 12 months in a year means $12 times 6 for each year that's passed, meaning you've paid $72 for a game that you don't even know is going to be good. For people who paid $100, that's $7,200 for the same thing, but you get your ad or logo in the beginning for up to 6 seconds and it can be skipped, so it'll likely be up for mostly 1.5. Side note, don't use Patreon for a one-time product. That's what stuff like Kickstarter's for, because if you don't get the product, you can report it easier and get your money back. The reason why it's more difficult to report this on Patreon is because Yandere Dev can just go, well, the project isn't technically finished yet, so there is no product to give away. Patreon is made for continuous content that is being constantly produced. Once the game is finished, the Patreon shouldn't have a reason to be up anymore, but who's to say that even when the game is done, he doesn't just leave it up, since people have likely forgotten about it, and since the expense on a small scale is so small, people won't probably notice it first. Love the fact he also gets pissy when people stop funding him, like, dude, nobody owes you money. Before anyone says that making a game is expensive and hard, I know, but this is inexcusable in my eyes, and game creators like Scott Cawthon, Toby Fox, and Studio MDHR have made games that are arguably more difficult in terms of mechanics and structure in a shorter amount of time with less funding. Studio MDHR managed it independently, even risking their houses for a game made literally frame by frame with hours of content. Toby Fox used Kickstarter and not only made the music and received help for sprite work, but has an engaging story with Lord knows how many different branching paths. Your decisions can affect the storyline, even to the point where exiting without saving can't save you. And Scott Cawthon not only made several successful games that had various playful Easter eggs planted upon advertising, but various books, and is currently helping fund and encouraging fan-made products while simultaneously fucking with MatPat still. You are still using stolen assets, and have barely added the first rival when you claim there's supposed to be one for each day of the week. Osana took so long, and I knew so little about this all at first that I legit thought there was an entirely different game you were trying to finish before getting to Yandere Simulator.
That's not everything, is it?
Now, Yandev, I've given you all my reasons for taking you in. People are concerned about you in more ways than one. However, we're going to focus on this. Now, tell me, what makes you think that it was okay to use these images without permission?
It was fair use. I just googled some images, made them silhouettes, and put them into the video. Now people like you want to call it art theft. It's ridiculous.
Well, Yandev, here's the thing about that. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the main reason why this is being called art theft is because you didn't even credit the artist or where you got the original artwork from. Maybe if you had done that, people wouldn't be so hard on you. And don't fight with me on this point either, you know you didn't credit anyone. Now, about your second excuse. You call this purpose and character of use. You claim you did something new by simply taking someone else's work and coloring it black. Then, much like a preschooler, you cry that this is fair use. You as well gloat that a judge in the court of law would be on your side. See, about that, in order for something to be transformative work, you need to make something new with a piece of media, much like a movie reviewer using clips. However, here's the thing about your little claim. What you did here isn't transformative. At best, it's derivative, especially with your I made something new claim. Derivative work still belongs to the original copyright holder. So, Yandev, while you could call this fair use, a judge wouldn't actually be on your side, and if any of the original artists decided to sue you, they would win.
But I...
Quiet, and don't interrupt me again. Now, about your next claim, which is incredibly stupid. Nature of the work used. You claim that what you did was okay because the images were public. Alex, I shouldn't have to explain that public images on Google still hold copyright. It being public doesn't remove the artist from the equation. Next, the amount of the portion used in relation to the work as a whole. You excuse your actions because once again, you used silhouettes. You're an idiot, and I'll point you back to the term derivative work. The future market value of the used work. So, what you did was okay because it'll have no financial harm on the original holder, and it'll have no harm on the market. Alright. However, you know who did make money off the backs of artists who didn't give you permission? You. You copy characters, you steal assets, and you don't credit artists. You illegally make money off of others' work, and again, any of them could sue you if they wanted to. Your last point is that you didn't mean to post these images maliciously. I really don't think that anybody brought that up. People were just upset at the amount of malarkey that you spew and not crediting people. Now, I'm a forgiving person. If you have any statements, you can say it now. Go ahead and explain or even apologize.
The only reason that anyone is discussing this in the first place is because there is a group of creepy weirdos who scrutinize everything I do and try to portray me as an evil monster. They do not think rationally. Their mission, along with yours, is to characterize everything I do as evil. I could sneeze, and you'll find a reason to crucify me for it. Any rationally thinking person can plainly tell that the use of silhouettes is not art theft. To call this art theft, you would need to have an overly simplistic black and white view of the world, and completely ignoring the concepts of transformative works and fair use. Everyone who is freaking out about this is starting drama just for the sake of having something to talk about. This is not a big deal. This is a trivial matter. This is a non-issue. If I actually do feel that I've done something wrong, then I announce it. I apologize to the person involved and rectify the problem. I am not going to do that regarding this because I haven't actually done anything wrong in this case.
Well, if that's what you really think, I won't take it further. Honestly, Yandev, I wish you well, and for the fans' sake and their money, I hope you finish the game. And that'll be really everything for me. Good luck out there. I think you're gonna need it. So yeah, thievery and scumbaggery.
Is scumbaggery even a word?
Pequeño perro molesto. Would you like a cookie, you grammar Nazi?
Come on, I just want to use the internet.
No.
But I have to check the analytics for my Alpha and Omega 76 review.
Die.